Well, I think the point that you could make on this is that obviously after Diana's tragic death, and he goes into a lot of the detail in Spare, Harry was traumatized, in denial, even. And also, there's no question he took to drugs and drink as a part of a panacea. He was able to find himself in the military, but there's absolutely no doubt that that unquestionably changed him. So, you can obviously, Paul Burrell, I mean, I have to say that he gave an interview to the Mirror last month where he was speculating that Harry would have married an aristocratic English girl and, as he sees it, supported William, which, as he interprets it, Diana would have wished. I mean, we can't know. It's really impossible. But there's absolutely no doubt that the death of Diana was absolutely pivotal in the way it affected, most particularly affected Harry.
Well, I mean, both boys did go through it. I mean, like you, I covered the funeral. I stood there and watched him walk behind their mother's coffin. I mean, it did affect both boys, didn't it? But it's Harry is the one that seemed to be searching and angry more than his older brother. And so, I mean, Meghan being a mother figure, it does kind of make sense.
Well, in that sense, it conceivably could. I mean, in the Mirror, he was talking about even fantasizing, I suggest, about Diana living in California as a sort of granny figure, which I have to say, it's very hard to anticipate what would have happened, but there's absolutely no doubt that that was the catalyst, and truly, truly tragic.
Yeah, of course it was. It was horrible, and it's a horrific thing to happen to two young boys like that. What do you think Meghan would make of this comment that she is a mother figure to her husband?
Well, I think that she would appreciate the fact that of the two of them, she is very definitely the dominant figure. That is definitely what comes across, and that is the way most people interpret the way their relationship. And I mean, I think they're still in love. I think that the relationship on the whole is working very well. It's hard to be precise because the net is flooded with rumors, as you know, about everything to do with this. But there's absolutely no doubt, though, I think they need direction, because if you look at the recent weeks and you see, I mean, they won a humanitarian award, indeed. You've just shown clips from it. I mean, this award had been only handed out once before, and it appears that Archwell, their charitable foundation, had close links with the host of this. So you could argue that it might have been arranged to give the award publicity because nobody had heard of it. I mean, it's rather like Meghan going to Paris to the Balenciaga show. I mean, that gave the show a tremendous amount of publicity because there was absolutely no doubt that they do have worldwide pull. But on the other hand, including that very carelessly, that video which with her feet up and then showing the area of Paris and the vicinity of the tragic accident, that was extraordinary. She's taken it down, as well she should. It wasn't intended, but it was very sensitive.
GB News Mouthpiece, Richard Fitzwilliams, left exposed and humiliated. The man who can't stop talking about Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex. Richard Fitzwilliams, a name that has become synonymous with noise, nonsense, and nostalgia for a royal world that no longer exists. Once paraded as a royal commentator, he has turned himself into a caricature of bitterness, trapped in a permanent loop of recycled gossip and resentment toward the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. This week, he took things even lower, grasping at yet another desperate claim, repeating Princess Diana's former butler's outrageous assertion that Prince Harry wouldn't have married Meghan Markle if Diana were alive. It's the kind of absurdity only found in the corridors of GB News and the decaying tabloid world it feeds, where reality no longer matters and hatred toward Meghan is treated like currency. But here's the truth. Fitzwilliams has run out of credibility, run out of logic, and run out of grace. What remains is an echoing bitterness, a man who has spent years shouting about Harry and Meghan, hoping someone still cares to listen. Yet the world has moved on. His obsession, His attempts to distort love into rebellion and compassion into scandal have backfired spectacularly. Fitzwilliams, like many of his colleagues in GB News's toxic echo chamber, is a relic of a fading empire of gossip, a world that can't forgive Harry for choosing freedom, and can't forgive Meghan for being everything the monarchy pretends to stand for but never truly embraces: intelligence, empathy, independence, and authenticity. Every time he opens his mouth to slander them, he exposes not their supposed flaws, but his own emptiness, his inability to comprehend love that doesn't fit into the hierarchy he worships. GB News and its commentators exist in a self-made bubble where truth is secondary to outrage. In that bubble, Fitzwilliams plays the aging oracle, the man with sources, the man with insight, the man who supposedly knows what Diana would have wanted. But he doesn't. He never did. Princess Diana was the embodiment of compassion, rebellion, and courage, qualities she passed on to her son, who continues to honour her legacy, not by kneeling before the institution that broke her, but by living truthfully and loving fearlessly. For Fitzwilliams to weaponize Diana's name to insult Meghan, a woman Diana would have embraced with open arms, is the ultimate act of disrespect. Let's be clear, Richard Fitzwilliams doesn't speak for Diana, he doesn't speak for Harry, and he certainly doesn't speak for the public. He speaks for the tabloids, for the bitter establishment that cannot accept that Harry has outgrown their control. His commentary isn't journalism, it's performance, designed to keep the hate machine humming. Every segment, every sneer, every condescending word is meant to feed the illusion that Meghan is the villain and Harry is the lost prince. But that illusion shattered years ago. The only thing left standing is Fitzwilliams' obsession. His latest claim, parroting Paul Burrell's tired statement, is a pathetic attempt to stay relevant. The idea that Harry wouldn't have married Meghan if Diana were alive is both cruel and illogical. Diana's love for her sons was unconditional. She dreamed of them being free from the suffocating rules that destroyed her. Meghan, in her strength and compassion, is exactly the kind of woman Diana hoped her sons would find. She brings warmth, empathy, and independence, qualities that would have made Diana proud beyond measure. Fitzwilliams's inability to see that only exposes how far he's drifted from humanity. When Fitzwilliams goes on GB News, he sits there with that smug air of authority, repeating the same tired talking points. He talks about royal tradition, about duty, about how Meghan changed Harry. What he never talks about is truth, that Harry found peace in breaking free, that Meghan's presence saved him from the same institution that destroyed his mother, that their love story, in all its strength and defiance, represents everything real and human that the monarchy lacks. Fitzwilliams has spent so long defending the institution that he has forgotten what love looks like when it's genuine. The irony is that Fitzwilliams calls himself a commentator, but all he does is recycle hate speech. There's no insight, no substance, only gossip wrapped in pseudo-intellectual phrasing. He behaves like an archivist of bitterness, storing every negative headline, every rumour, every whisper that can be twisted against Harry and Meghan. His tone drips with arrogance, as if he's protecting a legacy that doesn't belong to him. But history won't remember Fitzwilliams as a voice of reason. It will remember him as one of the loudest architects of propaganda, a man who mistook cruelty for commentary. He once claimed that Meghan doesn't understand how the royal family works. Yet every time he opens his mouth, he proves that he doesn't understand how humanity works. The monarchy is not a machine to be worshipped. It's a failing institution that has spent centuries feeding off silence, submission, and spectacle. Meghan refused to bow to that, and for that, Fitzwilliams and his ilk cannot forgive her. But that refusal is exactly what makes her powerful. Every attempt Fitzwilliams makes to drag her down only magnifies her grace. Meghan doesn't need to respond to his words. She rises by simply living, by continuing to create, to build, to uplift others. Harry doesn't need to defend her with words because he defends her through action, through the life they have built together far away from the noise. Meanwhile, Fitzwilliams sits in studios, clutching his outdated notes, praying someone still values his opinion. What Fitzwilliams and GB News don't realise is that their hate is losing value. The public is exhausted. The same faces, the same lies, the same anti-Meghan rhetoric have worn out their welcome. The world is embracing truth, and truth stands with Harry and Meghan. Richard Fitzwilliams's voice trembles with the fear of irrelevance. Every desperate comment he makes is a cry for attention from a man who knows his time is up. His bitterness isn't about Meghan, it's about himself. Meghan and Harry broke free. He cannot. They live in sunshine, he lives in shadows. When Fitzwilliams claims to know what Diana would think, he commits the ultimate arrogance. Diana's memory doesn't belong to the tabloids. It doesn't belong to the royal commentators who destroyed her peace. It belongs to her sons, especially to Harry, who has lived her truth. Fitzwilliams using her name to justify hate is an insult to everything Diana represented. The public sees through it. They see the desperation. They see that Fitzwilliams isn't protecting tradition. He's protecting a system of privilege that is collapsing under its own hypocrisy. The same system that mocked Diana now mocks Meghan. The same system that silenced truth now resents Harry for speaking it. Fitzwilliams's commentary is nothing but the dying gasp of that system. He represents the old guard of British media, men who believe their polished accents and hollow expertise can disguise their bias. But no accent, no title, no network affiliation can hide the ugliness of obsession. He doesn't analyse the monarchy, he polices it. He doesn't discuss Harry and Meghan, he attacks them. His words aren't analysis, they're propaganda. Let this be said clearly. Richard Fitzwilliams should stop speaking about Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex. They owe him nothing. They owe GB News nothing. They owe the British tabloids nothing. They owe their loyalty only to truth, to love, and to the family they are raising in peace. Fitzwilliams's time as a royal commentator should end where decency begins. Every false narrative he fuels will one day collapse under the weight of its own pettiness. Every smear he repeats will fade into the silence of forgotten gossip. But the love of Harry and Meghan, the strength of their union, the purpose of their work, will endure. So let the GB News chambers echo with their own emptiness. Let Fitzwilliams and his colleagues sit in their anger, rewriting the same tired story. The world has already turned the page. The future does not belong to bitterness. It belongs to those brave enough to love despite it. Richard Fitzwilliams is a man clinging to a throne that no longer exists. Not a royal one, but a throne of false authority built from decades of spin. And like all thrones built on lies, it's crumbling. Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex stand where Fitzwilliams cannot, in truth, in purpose, and in peace. No amount of commentary will change that. The time has come for Fitzwilliams to step back, close his notebook of venom, and let the world breathe without his noise. Because his words no longer carry power. They carry only dust.
To all my amazing and curious Sussex family, thank you all for watching our videos, and do not forget to subscribe, like, and put a comment. Bye bye. See you in our next episode.